Yo guys, what's going on? Robert Warshack here, and we're gonna take a look at all of the new Titans and put them in our tier list. In the list we have tier Denki, which would basically be tier S, very good, unstoppable, found in probably the best deck. Tier A, which is a good deck, found a lot, does well. Average being obviously it's found in like tier 3 or below decks, below average being pretty bad, and then Shadow Realm is unplayable. This is absolutely unplayable down here. So first one we're gonna take a look at is the Druid Titan. So the Druid Titan is the Life Bender. She has a 10 mana 5/7. After this uses an ability, summon a 5/5 Ancient with Taunt, which they use an ability each and every turn that they're out. The first ability being draw cards until your hand is full. The next one being restore your hero to full health and refresh your mana crystals. So Druid getting to 10 mana. It happens almost every game in like what, turn 3 Druid is at 10 mana. Being able to summon a 5/5 with Taunt is good. The stats on this aren't terrible, but you're summoning taunts in the way, so that's just generally good. Being able to refresh your mana crystal and playing a bunch of other spells is nice. So, due to the fact that Druid has insane ramp, you're creating 5/5s with taunt that guard this, or even just not even guard this. You can just, it's just good. And then all of the abilities from this, you know, whether it's heal to full, draw your hand, you can play this at any time in the game, and there's a use for it. It's not only good when you're ahead, it's not only good when you're behind, it's just a good card. I actually think this is going to be pretty solid and be in, but if it's not tier Denki, it's tier A. Druid is looking quite nice this expansion, quite scary, and again, just the ramp Druid has makes this card like playable, right? Like, and the fact that if somebody like dirty rats this or pulls it out of the hand, like it's not a battle cry effect. A lot of the Titans do have some sort of like battle cry effect or something like that. You're not losing out at all. So I'm honestly in between tier A and tier Denki, but generally a 10 mana card is hard to put into tier Denki unless it was like Sire to Nathrius at the start of an expansion, because everybody played this. But with it being only Druid, you know, there's only going to be like probably 1 or 2 Druid decks max that play this card. So it kind of like makes it a little bit lower on the list. Next card we're going to take a look at is Hunter. This guy is a 6 mana 3/7, so pretty good stats for 6 mana. 6 mana is fairly cheap. He battle cries, equipped a 3/3 weapon, and that weapon, you can either give your weapon after your hero attacks, draws a card, Commanding Presence, which is give your weapon after your hero attacks, summon a 3/3 Enforcer with Taunt, or Swift Slash, which is what I think everybody's going to pick, which is give your weapon +2 attack, and your hero is immune while attacking. So how I'm looking at this is Hunter is looking so good this expansion. The cards they printed for Hunter are actually insane. This is a 6 mana, 3/7, must die, and you can just give your weapon +2 attack, so it's a 5/3 weapon, which is 15 damage. I am put this guy into tier Denki. Like, every Hunter deck should play this guy. There's no downsides to playing this guy. The weapon is insane, and Hunter is just going to do so much damage. The fact that he's 6 mana is what makes him so good. If he was like 7 mana, it's definitely a lot worse, but like at 6 mana, must deal with, does a shit ton of damage when he comes out. Like, brother, this card is actually just insane. Next on the list, we have Priest. We have a 7 mana 3/10, and his abilities are Shape the Stars, which is choose a non-Titan minion, summon a copy of it with 2/2. Strike from History, which is choose 2 enemy minions, remove them from the game, so Death Rattles won't like proc or anything. Like, it just removes them, very similar to like Life Sentence, and you get to pick them, which is good. And then Vision of Heroes, which is, in my opinion, his worst effect, which is summon a random 6-cost minion, give it Taunt and Lifesteal. Summoning a random 6-cost could be good, but most of the time, just a random minion 6-cost is pretty bad. Taunt and Lifesteal are good effects, but Rush with Lifesteal would be much better. So the fact that this is Taunt and Lifesteal and it has no Rush on it, it only summons one of them, it's random. Most of the time, you're going to be like removing minions or summoning a copy of a minion that gets 2/2/2. 7, 10 in stats, obviously a very control E card. This is like the most Priest card I have ever seen. It's between tier A and average for this card, because right now Priest is like just one of the best decks in the game, but I don't know what Priest is getting yet because they haven't released all of the Priest cards yet. But in itself, this card doesn't really have a win condition. Like, yes, it's control, but there's no like win. All these other heroes have some sort of like, once you play them, if left unchecked, you can win the game, right? But I guess, I mean, copying a card, I don't know, it's probably tier A, dude. Like, Priest is just good. Card's just good. Next on the list, we have the Paladin hero, which I have actually not taken a look at yet. 7 mana, 1/8. You taunt. Your minions can't take more than 2 damage at a time. And it's the first one being Reinforced. Draw 2 minions, set their attack and health and cost to 2. Empowered. Give your other minions +2/+2. And then pacified, set all the attack and health of all enemy minions to. I would like to say this is more of like a mid-range paladin card, because if you're playing an aggressive paladin deck, you're most of the time going to try to win before turn 7. I mean, if you look at pure paladin now, they're wanting to play Countress, not this, right? So like, I guess you could play this in a pure paladin deck just because you have stuff like draw 2 minions, set their attack and health cost at 2, which means if you hit Countress or Purator, like you're just playing these cards anyway for their effect, not really their stats. I don't know. The design and everything are really, in my opinion, super boring on this. Plus, when it comes out, if the max you can take is 2 damage at a time, and it's not even you, it's only your minions. I think this card is, I think this is horrible. I think this is like below average to like terrible. Like this card is bad. I don't think that, it has 1 attack too. But I guess it's hard to kill because it can't take more than 2 damage, but they're just going to play a spell. That late in the game, if your opponent doesn't have like a field removal to kill this or something like that, I don't know. I think the card's terrible. This is just bad, man. Like it's all right. So this tier list is also in comparison to all of the other Titans. We should make that like in comparison to just like a 7-mana card. This card's insane, right? Like it's good, but I'm comparing these to Titans. Like it's a Titan tier list, right? So this is like definitely the weakest one I've seen so far. So next up we have Argus, 7-mana, 5/9 Titan. Minions to the left of this have Rush, and minions to the right have Lifesteal. So pretty interesting stuff there. First one is discover a Death Rattle minion. It costs 3 less. Pretty bad. Reduce the cost of all minions in your hand by 2. This could be good, but we'll see. And then the last one is summon 4 2/2 elementals with taunt. So make a board, which is, in my opinion, pretty good. They have taunt, which is nice. Show force, reduce the cost of all minions in your hand by 2, which can be insane. Like, I don't know. I think a 7-mana fill the board up with stuff, and if it left unchecked, you just benefit. Like, this just definitely just seems like a good card to have regardless of almost anything. Also, if you have minions already on the board and you play this, you can give them all rights or lifesteal on the right hand side. Rush doesn't really matter. That's only like when cards are playing, so if this survives, you'd put them on the left. I think this card's pretty good. It's hard to say that whether or not it's average or tier A. Like, is it better than the Druid and the Priest one? And it might be on the same level just because it like gives you a board. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I value the Druid one so much, because you get a taunt and it puts a taunt in the way. So like, I can see this being tier A just because, again, it does something when it comes out. I don't value, like, this Paladin one when it comes out doesn't do anything. Like, yeah, I could give everything on the board +2/+2, but you have to be ahead on the board. Like, you are, like, it's just not good by itself. So I think I'm going to put the Demon Hunter one actually at tier A. I think it's pretty good. I think that'll be found in a lot of Demon Hunter decks. I don't really see that big of a downside to it. Next one we're going to take a look at is going to be Shaman. What does Shaman get? 6 mana, so 6 mana Titans, in my opinion, they're pretty good. 5/7, so pretty beefy boy. Your first spell each turn costs 3 less. Okay, that's pretty insane. And then his ability is Roaring Oceans, deal 3 damage to all enemies and restore 6 health to all friendly characters. Okay, so a board clear and a heal. Deal 20 damage to a minion, so like Giga Super, like you die. It says to a minion, so it could be your minion, but obviously we won't want to do that. Definitely can kill another Titan. And then the last one is draw 3 Overload cards. I don't really see how this is bad in any way, shape, or form. The first spell costing 3 less each turn is insane. I can definitely see that going into tier A. I can even see this possibly be played like an Overload deck. You draw those, and you do some synergistic stuff like that. But the fact that you're able to play this, then play a spell, and then also clear the board or draw cards, to me, that's just, like, amazing. While it doesn't necessarily end the game, it sets up to end the game. So, like, cards that end the game is definitely this Hunter one. Again, just, like, the amount it does. It's just highly statted. I mean, this actually has 2 more attack. I don't know. The Shaman one is actually really mean, bro. Like, the first spell you play, because you can play this and then get a free spell for 6 mana. And you're, like, doing a huge board swing, and it's a 5/7. Granted, because it's a Titan, you kind of, like, don't really care about the attack too much, because most of the time it's never going to attack. But if things attack into it, you want it to at least have some attack. Which, again, is why the Paladin one is so bad, because one attack, you know, things can trade into it, and it doesn't, like, it just dies, and it doesn't kill anything off in the process. So I'm really on the fence of whether the Shaman one is going to be up here or down here, because the card just seems super good to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I It's hard to value this one. And it's also hard to value because they haven't released all of the Shaman cards yet, and we don't know what they have in store for Overload. But yeah, I would definitely put this in between these two right here. But at the moment, I would do tier A. It just seems like a good card. Why would you not play this in your deck?
Hello, little duders. Would you like to remind the people on YouTube that they need to like and comment so you can make sure you get Christmas dog toys? Yeah? Are you being crazy today, bud? Are you being a crazy boy?
Next one is going to be the Warrior one. This is, I was hoping big, and we got trashed, to be honest. From what I've read, it doesn't look good. 6 mana, 4/4. After this uses an ability, gain immune this turn and attack a random enemy minion. To me, that's bad. Attacking random enemy minions. Okay, what if they have a bunch of 1/1s, 2/1s, stuff like that? Like, it's not a guarantee you get to kill what you want. Gain, first ability is Titan Forge, gain +2/+2 and draw a weapon. Okay, so it turns into a 6/6 and it can attack something and you get a weapon. Gain 5 attack and give your hero 5 attack this turn. That's probably the best one because it gives your hero 5 attack and then it makes this a 9/4, which can kill off a big minion if it's like 1v1ing something, which is nice. And then Heart of the Flame, which is get 5 health and give your hero 5 armor. So a little bit more defensive there, making this a 4/9 with immune when it attacks. I think the key part is after this using an ability, you get immune and attacks. So it's, again, in my opinion, a lot better than the Paladin one. But at the same time, it's like not even on the same level as some of these others. You know what I'm saying? Like these other ones just seem a lot better. The Warrior one definitely seems average to me. It doesn't seem bad, but it's just not, it's not ending the game. And the reason being is it can't attack face. It says attack a random enemy minion, which means if your opponent has no minions out and you're like using the ability, he doesn't do anything else. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of limitations with this guy. And then if they do have minions out, you don't even get to attack the one that you want to attack, which makes me even want to put this guy to below average. Like, yeah, you can juice him up. Yeah, he's good at killing minions, but he doesn't kill your opponent, and that's the key of the game. A lot of these have some sort of deal damage to opponent, clear the board, heal yourself, draw cards. He does draw weapons, but okay. Like, what weapons are we drawing that are winning the game? So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm actually putting him below average. I just don't think that guy wins games. And I play very expensive cards like Titans to win games. And he's not a game-winning card. He is a card that could help you win the game, but he doesn't actually win the game. He needs supporting cards. Next one we're going to take a look at is the Mage one. So we have a 6 mana, again, Titan. These 6 mana Titans seem to be very popular right now. First one's going to be deal 5 damage to whatever you want. Go face, hit a minion, seems pretty good. Enemy cards cost 1 more next turn. This is very good and probably underrated because you can shut down a lot of AoE stuff. As we know, Loatheb, any sort of disruption is always good. And this is just enemy cards cost 1 more. This isn't like, we know how good like Cult Neophyte is and all that stuff. So this is just minions and spells, very solid. The unlimited potential, which is cast 1 random mage secret. So probably not the one that people are going to be using the most. They're probably going to be leading with ancient knowledge. And then probably from there, it's either the double secret into the deal 10. Either way, I think this guy is pretty good. I would like to put him at tier A, but again, I don't know. To me, he's kind of average. I think that if he lives on the board a turn, he gets substantially better with enemies cards costing 2, right? But the random secret to me is bad because like you could just hit like, you know, ice barrier, but that doesn't help him. It doesn't help you win the game. It helps you not die. But if you're already in a situation where you're needing ice barrier on turn 6 from your Titan, like, I don't know, just seems like not a good place to be. And the cost 1 more is good, but you kind of have to be ahead for that to happen. In comparison, again, to the other Titans that just do more when they come out, I think he falls under average. However, the 8 of health. The 8 health is what's getting me here. I mean, it's really hard to value these things because they're all just, like, pretty freaking good. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think I'm going to keep them in average. Most of the mage decks right now are very slow. This guy is slow. He gets better, but again, it's just not, I don't think it's as good as these other cards that kind of just, like, do more when they come out. This guy kind of needs to ramp, and he needs to live to be his full self, and these cards are just good as is. You know what I mean? You play them, even if they die, you've got a lot of the benefit, especially the Hunter one. So next one's going to be the Warlock one. This one was quite depressing, to be quite honest. Sargeras, 9 mana, 6/12, huge in stats, a lot of mana though, 9. Battle Cry, open a portal that summons 2/3/2 imps each turn. We had a quest like this in the past, and the quest was basically unplayable for discard lock. So we have the opens a portal, which he does off his battle cry. His first ability to the void is send all other minions into the twisting nether. So basically, he comes out, you can kill all the other minions but him for 9 mana, which is quite nice. You can play Inferno, which is summon 2/6/6 Infernals from the twisting nether. And then you also have the Legion Invasion, which is future demons summoned from the twisting nether, have +2 health and taunt. So infinite value here for sure. However, super duper slow. So you play this guy, you go like twisting nether, and then it summons 3/2 imps. Yes, the 3/2 imps are annoying, but like they clear the board, and then you're just basically summoning 3/2 imps for the rest of the game. You spent 9 mana. Like in comparison to all of the others, he just seems like pretty unplayable. Right now, twisting nether is not a played card. Warlock is fairly struggling. Making it to turn 9 and he doesn't do any sort of healing or anything like that. Yeah, you can pick the taunt one, but most of the time on turn 9, if you're playing this guy, you're like, you'd need to be on like ahead on the board, or at least your opponent not have that much power on the board. But I mean, just looking at how good these Titans are, you know what I mean? He just doesn't match up. Like right now, I'm looking at like killing your opponent, and a lot of these cards just do it a lot faster than turn 9 basically do nothing to my opponent to win. It's just like an outvalue thing. And right now, like the only like outvalue deck is Control Priest, and that has a massive amount of healing, and Warlock only really hurts itself. So Sargeras, in my opinion, seems really, really weak in comparison to all the other Titans. Taking a look at the Death Knight one here, we have an 8 mana 7/9 Titan. After this uses an ability, discover a card with that rune. We know discovering rune cards are really, really good. I doubt you could discover triple runes. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be able to do that because they turn that off, but you can still hit, like, if you pick the Runes of Blood, destroy an enemy minion. This minion and your hero gain its health. You're going to be able to get, like, Patchwork, things like that, which are good. Corpse Explosion, Blood Boil. Runes of Unholy, summon 2/3/3 undead with Taunt and Reborn, so put some taunts in the way. They have Reborn, which is more taunts, adds minion to the boards, which are corpses, which is really nice. And then we have Runes of Frost. The next spell you cast costs 3 less and has +3 spell damage. So I think the Runes of Frost here is probably the worst one. But the Runes of Blood and Unholy seem pretty decent to me. Doesn't seem like super strong. It has some board clear in here. There's some life gain, and there is some value in this guy. Does he win the game? You know, does he have win game potential? Not really. More of just a slower value thing here. So Blood DK is probably going to love to play this guy in here. I'm going to put this guy under average in comparison to some of these other Titans. And remember, this whole list is like comparing Titans to Titans. And the ones at the top of the list tend to kind of, when played, win the game. That's kind of how I'm basing this off of. Like, if this thing sticks on the board, it has potential to just win. Besides maybe the Shaman one, but he just gives, like, in my opinion, enough value to just win. Each spell costs 3 less each turn at the beginning, and you get to draw a shit ton of cards, and you're AoEing and healing. Like, there's just a lot of stuff that guy. I think the utility is what makes that guy tier A for me. And then we have the last Titan here, the Rogue one. This one seems pretty nuts if Rogue ends up being good, but unfortunately, Rogue is looking very, very weak. So we have Voltron, 6 mana Titan again, 3 attack, 5 health. So by far the weakest one we've seen. And this minion's abilities repeat on another friendly minion. So whenever you cast one of his abilities, it's going to repeat if you have another minion out. Turn 6 with a Rogue. I'm assuming it's a mech, so I'm assuming you're playing something like mech, Rogue. You've got some minions on board. It kind of seems like a win more card, but its effects are kind of insane. So we have Attach the Cannons, which is gained to +2/+1, and it deals 4 damage to a random enemy. And it doesn't say minion, so this can go face. And since if you have another minion out, any other minion, doesn't even have to be a mech, you would basically get +4/+2, you know, split across 2 minions, and it does 8 damage to enemies, opponents' minions. This is kind of insane. This is huge tempo. Like 3/5, buffing 2 minions and dealing 8 damage is pretty nuts. The other one's full power, which is gain +1/+2. You draw a card. Again, if you have another minion out, that gets +1/+2, and you draw 2 cards, which is kind of nutty. And then you have maximized defenses, which is gain 3 health and can't be targeted by hero powers or spells. So it turns into a 3/8, can't be targeted by hero powers or spells, and another minion gets that effect. But by far the best one is going to be attached to cannons. That is a huge tempo swing. So this turns into a 5/6, deal 4 damage, and then another minion gets +2/+1, and that does 4 damage as well. Split among, again, all enemies. So the rogue one seems really, really good. That it just does a lot. Also, the can't be targeted by hero power spells is good. However, this card is completely determined on whether or not how good mech rogue is. And we did some reviews today on the mech cards, the whole mech package, or the rogue cards, which is mainly a mech package, and it seems insanely weak. So while I think this prime is crazy good, however, the deck that it fits into is bad. So it's hard for me to evaluate this rogue prime. I know there's probably a hot take on that one, but I think that once a rogue deck finds there's a good rogue build, and it's gonna pop. That card is going to pop because that's just stupid damage. I could be very wrong here, but I think this is how it's gonna lay out. So we have the hunter and the rogue one at the top, tier 1, being druid, priest, demon hunter, and shaman. Average being the death knight and the mage. Below average is the warrior, and then the absolute trash is paladin and Sargeras. Let me know what you think. There's a lot of these videos, a lot of interpretation on this card. Almost impossible to say what'll be good. There is no doubt that these titans are very powerful, and we might actually just get into Hearthstone's highest power level meta yet. If these guys live, you just lose. These are very similar to planeswalkers in Magic, where if a planeswalker lives on the board 2, 3, 4 turns, and they do the -10 or -8, and destroy the entire enemy's deck. That's kind of what these cards do, right? They stick around, and the value generation is just, or the damage is just insane, right? So thank you guys for watching. There'll be more card reviews, full pockets in the future, coming soon. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. Let me know what you think of this, and I'll catch you in the next video. Of course, I'm Robert Warshack, and happy whatever the hell day it is.